Well, yeah, I'll read Turki Alalshikh's tweet in a minute. If Vinny, Modfather Vinny, if you can hear us, please do post it up on screen, and then we'll go through it. But just go to the chat for the first time on this week's episode. Thunder Road says, Danny B. Flexen is back. Normal service has been resumed. Thank you very much, Thunder Road. Make sure you're bullying everyone into giving us thumbs up, as you normally do. Adam Hurley says, Canelo's a chicken shit. Enough said. I should point out he actually started out the last two letters of shit, and I've just ruined it now. So it's my curse word, not Adam Hurley's. Beautiful Golden Dragon says, Grey Dad Guy is the GOAT. Thank you very much. It's two already. What's going on? Red Fox Roman says, His Excellency Canelo Alvarez versus Turki Alalshikh. Gary says, Danny Flexen is back. No flies on you, Gary. Does Capote wear glasses because he got sparred by Grey Dad Guy's son, Josh? Says Beautiful Golden Dragon. I'm not sure sparring's quite Josh Green's thing, but I could be wrong. Big Chunga says, Eamon is so hot.
I am boiling, Danny. I think that's what he's in reference to. I'm sweating back over here. So
dripping. What it means. Right, okay. Well, I'm sure he'll follow up and clarify one way or the other. we can all be a bit worried about that. Gary says, I have to disagree with Turkey that he's the face of boxing. I believe it's Eamon Khan. Eamon Khan fan club in the house. Ra Hokum says, afternoon. Should have done the show outdoors on this Ho Summer's Day. Ho Summer's Day, eh, Ra? I think that's a Freudian slip. He says, both men showed their pettiness that wealth and power bring. I assume he means Turkey and Canelo, not Eamon and myself. Unfortunately, the face of boxing is Jake Paul, says Harry Zianakis, who's also called himself the God of Speed in his handle. Not sure if that's the drug or the quality. Big Chunga says Eamon Khan is the true face of boxing. He's agreeing with Gary. October Red's joined us. Big shout out to October Red. Hey, guys, good afternoon. Lovely to have you with us, October. You're welcome to actually come on the show at some point if you'd like to. Ra Hokum goes on. Canelo is on a duck march, but he's painting himself into a corner. Kind of mixed your metaphors there, Ra. Running out of credible opponents. I mean, that's certainly true. Thunder Road says, good businessmen, ? Saudis are overpaying for everything in order to reshape their image. Boxing, football. When you have deep pockets, you don't have to pinch. It's a valid point. Harry Zianakis now says, you guys are mentioning people that nobody knows. Jake Paul reaches a much wider audience than any of the bozos you guys are mentioning. So the face of boxing is unfortunately Jake Paul. Thanks, Harry. I hope you're on Jake's payroll because you're certainly doing the job for him right now. Big Chunga says, we all know what I meant with a little wink face. So, Eamon, you and Big Chungas maybe need to get a room. But that's something we can discuss another time. I'm just looking now to see if Vinny has put up the tweet. I can't see it on my screen, but Vinny, if you can hear me, please do put up the Turki Alalshikh tweet, but I'll read it off my phone for now. So that's Canelo's response. Okay, so Turkey said, I heard what Canelo said, that he respects me, but doesn't like the way we do business. As for him respecting me, it doesn't matter to me if he does or not. So he woke up and chose violence, clearly. That's my words, not Turkey's. As for the way I do business, I know why he doesn't like it, because I only target big fights at fair prices. So, of course, anyone who likes easy fights won't like that. And I know how he feels after losing to B-Volt, so he's been looking for easier fights ever since. I mean, first of all, how does Turkey know how he feels after losing to B-Volt? Which kind of career-defining fights has he lost? But yeah, I don't want to nail my colours to anyone's march just yet. Also, I'm not the one who's afraid of fighting Benavidez or Crawford. Can we take from that Turkey's like wanting to fight Benavidez or Crawford? He is courageous enough to get in there with one of them. He's mad, isn't he? He reminds me of Vince McMahon. Therefore, I knew he was wasting our time at making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid. So I'm continuing my way to make big fights that serve the boxing world, and he's on his way to making easy show-only fights. Just reading that back, it's actually more brutal than I remember it being the first time. Like, he's talking like a fighter engaging in trash talk with another fighter. Now, I've got huge respect for Turki Alalshikh and what he's done for the sport so far, putting together fights people want to see, big events, emptying the coffers to do so. I'm sure there are, as someone mentioned in the chat, ulterior motives in doing so as well. But I do have a bit of an issue with people who aren't actively involved in the fighting between the ropes, talking about a fighter in that way, in that kind of macho, trying to kind of, talking about them being scared and insecure and that kind of thing. I wouldn't feel comfortable talking about a fighter in that way because I haven't got in there in a top level fight I wouldn't be courageous enough or good enough to fight a Crawford or a Benavidez, and neither would Turkey, let's be honest. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. But Vinny, if you've got Canelo's very, very brief and to the point response, he didn't have much to say. I think it's fair to say he did his talking in emojis, as so many of the. Well, I don't know. Canelo's a millennial, isn't he? He's not Gen Z, so I'm not sure if he should be talking in emojis. But anyway, I think I've already gone Team Canelo, so it's too late. But yeah, two different laughing emojis there. I think Canelo water off a duck's back, really, isn't it? As long as he remains the biggest draw in the sport, I think he can pretty much do what he wants. But Eamon, what do you make of Turkey's original kind of shot across the bows? It does seem maybe a bit of an overreaction.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Dana White and his stance when a fighter moves on or decides to take a different path, or essentially doesn't, go along his path or go along his route. It's that the organization or the entity is bigger than the fighter, and the fighter is secondary to whatever that entity organization is looking to forge its way through towards. And now it's a completely different game with UFC and boxing, but Dana's stance is very much similar to how Turki Alalshikh's stance is right here. Is that when take a look at how Dana reacted when Francis Ngannou left, it was all fumble the bag this, and now they're trying to scratch away some of the history that Ngannou created whilst he was with the UFC. And he obviously came over to boxing and earned career high payday after career high payday, and probably will do again if he comes back to boxing. But that's what happens in the UFC with Dana White. And I think with Turki Alalshikh, who is, you almost want to go as far as to say essentially has ownership over boxing without actually having the ownership of the organizations and promotional outfits yet, but pulls all the strings right now. He's reacting like someone who feels like that they own boxing. And when your chess pieces or pieces of the puzzle don't want to move because you feel you have ownership over them, and they, I guess, go rogue, then you're going to be annoyed by that. You're going to be pissed off by that. So I can imagine he's feeling that way because one, he hasn't been able to land a big, huge event for Saudi Riyadh because it's a big, huge attraction, and those boxing fans over in Saudi Arabia who do follow boxing will know Canelo, and he's one of the. I imagine he'll have earmarked when it comes to the Saudi plan for boxing as to having. He wanted Usyk, he wanted Crawford, he wanted Anthony Joshua, he wanted Tyson Fury, he wanted Gervonta Davis. He wanted Floyd Mayweather, who was seen over in the region already, and he wanted Canelo Alvarez, and he hasn't got Canelo Alvarez as of yet. And that must be frustrating for someone who's been able to get everything his own way so far. Probably just needs to play it cool for now, and he will. I think I saw an interview with him. I think it was with Fight Hub. They did an interview. I thought it came across really well, actually, in terms of his answers as to how he fielded the questions about the situation. But and this is probably one of the pitfalls that promoters have had in the past when it comes to making fights, that when you don't get your way, you can sometimes have this little bit of fractious relationship. If you're as good as you say you are, you should be able to get everyone on board. That's the challenge now for Turki Alalshikh. Here's where you kind of earn the credit. I think Danny is having a little bit of connection issues. Vinny, if you just let me know on my in the chat as well, if that is the case. Whilst Danny is recovering his connection, I think he's been knocked out cold from my poignant statements there. I'll jump to the chat though, whilst we wait for Danny to come back through. He's just getting his internet all sorted. I'll pick up on the chat right here. We all know Big Chungas. We all know what I meant. I'm not too sure if I knew what you meant, Big Chungas. Tank is definitely much more the face of boxing than the people you mentioned. Gervonta Tank Davis, look, I've seen before in previous jobs and the traction he can get if by just putting a clip out of him. Absolutely. Whether he resonates over to the UK, Europe, and beyond is another thing. There were rumors towards the back end of last year, heading into this year, that we would be seeing Gervonta Davis in the UK. Now, I couldn't put my finger as to what fight that would be, but that hasn't materialized, and we're now 8 months into the year, looking towards the back end of the year now. It seems very unlikely that someone like Gervonta Davis is going to be fighting in the UK Will he land a fight over in Saudi Arabia? We saw Turki Alalshikh taking a picture with Shakur Stevenson as well, too. Another fighter who promotionally is free right now, looking to find his feet with a new promoter. Again, no news on that right now, but we see someone like Shakur Stevenson who's going to forge his way as a new face of boxing as well, over in Saudi Arabia. Let me just get a message over to Danny. Missing Danny already in the Seconds Out Live chat. This is a good topic and should be discussed. Thanks for the invite too. You're very welcome, October Red. I extend that offer as well from Danny Flexen. Adam Hurley is saying Turk offered Canelo 100 mil to fight Crawford. Canelo basically said that Crawford was too easy and assaulted Turkey. What did Turkey do? I don't think. Look, sure, but it's almost like when Khan fought Crawford, and Khan fought Canelo, and Canelo did what he did to Amir Khan, and he did come out with no credit in that fight. But really, he kind of shouldn't have come out with much credit because it was a guy at, what was it, 160, around that weight, who shouldn't have been anywhere near that weight in Amir Khan. And he's looking at that similar sort of way. Two fighters who come from similar sort of weights coming up to what would be now super middle as well, too. To then fight Canelo Alvarez, like, what credit really is he going to come out with from that fight, apart from an even more, an even increased richer bank account and another K on his record? Does Canelo particularly want that right now without getting that credit? I think his legacy is more important to him than the paycheck.